Nigeria inflation rate is now put at 28.9% according to figures from the National Bureau of Statistics. This was disclosed in the NBS December 2023 Consumer Price Index, which was released yesterday, Monday, in the afternoon. The CPI measures the rate of change and the prices of foods and services. Before Monday's release, the country inflation rate was put at 28.20% as of December 2023. Looking at the movement, the December 2023 headline inflation rate showed an increase of 0.72 percentage points when compared to the November 2023 headline inflation rate, the NBS said. Furthermore, on a month-on-month basis, the headline inflation rate in December 2023 was 2.29%, which was 0.20% higher than the rate recorded in November of 2023. Now, this means that in December 2023, the rate of increase in the average price level is more than the rate of increase in the average price level in November of the same year. Food inflation also rose in the month under review. The agency pegged it at 33.93% on a year-on-year basis, which was 10.18 percentage points higher compared to the rate recorded in December of 2022. With this latest release from the NBS shows that inflation seems to be on the rise, which many economists analysts see as not being the best if we want to really redirect the economy. But the big question and the big story for today is, what should this administration do to curb the growing inflation? And can the current economic policy help to contain it? Well, a look at the recent inflation rate statistics released by the National Bureau of Statistics just yesterday, and how to deal with the pending issues that seems to be increasing it, is what this edition of the big story is all about. And that is inflation now 28.9%, curbing the growing rate. And that's what we're looking at today on the big story. We're looking at that very release from the National Bureau of Statistics indicating that inflation for the month of December was put at 28.9%, up from 28.2% it was in the month of November of 2023. But anyway, we're right here in January, and we wonder what it will be at the end of it. But anyways, as much as we'll keep ourselves wondering on that, let's quickly go into the discussion. And to help us talk all about this is no other person but Comrade Emeka Nwokocha. Undermining, he's a comrade and human rights activist, but also economic issues as it concerns good governance is also what he loves to dwell in. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Mike.
Well, let's just go straight to it. Many expected it to rise, looking at how December is, natural hustle and bustle. But the 0.72% increase for others is a bit high. Now, when you compare to the corresponding year, you understand that indeed it is quite a high rate. But anyway, I just want your thoughts on these recent rates. Are you surprised with the increase? And in your own projection, are we likely going to see a fall or increase in January rates? And why I ask is, you do know business and everything seems to be sluggish in the month of January. So let's get your reactions to this recent release of the NBS just yesterday afternoon. And are we going to see a further increase, or are we going to expect a fall in the coming months ahead?
Mr. Mike.
Well, anyway, I'm happy I did.
There is saying that the way you make a bed, so would you lie on it.
Most certainly.
Okay, and I have regularly and repeatedly, made it clear at different fora that you cannot intentionally, willingly, begin to travel on the road leading to hell and expect to arrive in heaven. It's quite impossible. The Nigerian economic situation, if you go to the societies, go to the markets, go to the suburbs, go to where the ordinary Nigerians live, you will definitely begin to feel You can feel it, you can touch it, as in understanding that there is actually nothing to write home about. Because the most important thing I have told you is the welfare. The most important critical aim of government should be the welfare and the security of the citizens. And once you have taken away, the welfare of the citizens, then what is governance? So this brings back to the question. The statistics being released by MBS, for me, is not a surprise. But what Nigerians should still understand, and what the country has even failed to tell Nigerians, is that it's not as if currently there's a benchmark where the goods and services are affordable, whereby we are having this rise. Currently, even the goods upon which we are having this inflationary rate, cannot even be buyable, cannot even be affordable by the ordinary citizens. So, in other words, the economy is in comatose.
So you're saying it's not following the usual trend of higher the supply or higher the demand, the higher the price, but it's there, but Nigerians cannot afford it, but yes, it's increasing. Yeah,
what I'm saying is that, it would make a little sense as if it were a situation where the Nigerian economy or prices of goods, were stable and moderate ordinarily. Then if you are talking about inflation or need, it makes a sense. Yeah. But the situation on ground is that even the price of goods as it was cannot even be achievable or buyable by the ordinary citizen. And we are still having inflation on that hopeless situation. That is self-obtained, because if you just look at it literally, as in this is the release in the month of December or currently, it appears that Nigerians are even having, a free life and a good life before now. Our life before now has been in shreds. Okay. Then coming to add more harm, coming to add more, fuel in the burning fire is what I'm saying. So it is automatically a hopeless situation. I am not surprised at what MBS is saying. For me, it does not even reflect the true economic realities on ground. With even the figures you are seeing, Mr. Mike, how do they get it? It's based on the consumer price index.
The CPI.
Yeah, the CPI, which is calculated, using the average change in prices of, basket of goods and services over a period of time. And you still agree with me that the Nigerians, as we are not people that are diligent, to be able to carry out a research, to carry out an investigation and come out with data that actually reflect the truism in the society. So in other words, this one we're even seeing is a far cry
of what it should be.
Of what it should be. Because, see, the inflationary situation of this country on goods and services happens every minute of the day.
So in that note, are we going to cry more in January as the prices increase, or do you see it fall down, looking at the sluggish nature of how January is characterized?
See, sir, it is what you invested in
that you reap,
that you expect to reap from. What has the government invested in to cushion this effect? You recall when this government took this drastic measure to removing fuel subsidy and liberalizing forex, the World Bank came out and gave their own speculation. Let me call it speculation. That this policy will further throw 7 million Nigerians into the poverty line. Not even poverty, extreme poverty line. That was what the World Bank came out telling them. That if you are not careful with these policies you are throwing to the public domain, this is going to be the ripple effect. And from the look of things, Mr. Mike, you should begin to do analysis in your own household. How better are we? That Nigerians don't hit the street crying does not mean things are well. Even when you look at, the mannerism of every Nigerian man in the street will tell you that things are not well. And the annoying thing is that your leaders tend to give deaf ears to the cries of these people. Not because they don't know. Because ordinarily they move around in the street. You know, they have relations, they have communities, you know, they go to every day, and at times they still have their mates whom they send on errands. And if there are people that want to put their ears on ground that are actually true representative of the people, who should, you know, be able to cover the gaps and ensure that good governance is given to the people willy-nilly, they should be able to understand the pain that the people are going through. So these things, the sufferings are always there. The media are awash with the suffering. Recently here,
I'll plead with you to hold on, Comrade Emeka Owokocha. You know, as much as we're talking, for the course of our discussion, I feel it's only right and makes a whole lot of sense if we really look at the reason for the inflation. Now, and when I mean reason for the inflation, let's look at what seemed to be driving the inflation month in, month out. And for the past year and a half now, food inflation has been the culprit. And a pure example to that is when we had that December, it was 10.18% point higher when compared to the rate it was recorded also in December of our 2022. And that means inflation was 23.7% then in December of 2022. Now we had in December of 2023, 28.9%, which indeed is funny. And why I said it's funny is because we're having a rising rate of food inflation in a country where it's coming over 6 months after President Bola Ahmed Tinubu declared a state of emergency on food security. That's when we're 6 months after he declared. We're still having food inflation being the driver of the general inflation in the country. So I'm only wondering, why is it that we're having this continuous increase? And is it that the effect of that declaration of state of emergency on food security seems not to be working?
Mr. Mike, did your president declare emergency on food security?
He did 6 months back.
He declared emergency?
Yes, he did.
By mere saying it, or he matches with action? Let me debunk the president here. This is a very wonderful forum. See, under the Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program, CADIP, in Malabo and in Maputo, African head of states came together and say at least 10% of your annual budgetary allocation should be put into agriculture, so that at least to improve food production and promote food security. And what is food security? Adequate food, affordable food, nutritious food. These items make up the food security we are talking about. I will tell you, and let me speak to Mr. President here. For decades running, Nigerian governments have not been able to budget 2% of the annual budget into agriculture. 2%. This year's is 1.32 something percent. Now, if the president, could not put his ass together, could not, deal tirelessly with issues pertaining food security and ensuring that money is put in that area to actually achieve the goals you have set. Is it by coming in the open here with beautiful expletives, beautiful write-ups, speaking to Nigerians who may not be abreast with the development? So that's why I say, did he actually declare food security? If he declared food security, I should have seen the budgetary allocation to agriculture rising up to 15%. Then we are the analysts. We don't speak on conjecture. We speak on facts on ground and data. So on what moral basis, ground, would the president be telling me now that he declared emergency on food security, when the budgetary allocation to agriculture in 2024 is not up to 2%, Mr. Mike? So I am taking the question back to him that, how do you declare food security? Is it by mere rhetorics? So he hasn't. The 250,000 hectares of,
arable
land he's cultivating for wheat, corn, or whatever,
maize and millet,
should be
affordability, so that the people can have food to eat, whereby if you are paid your 30,000 naira minimum wage, Mr. Mike, at least you will be able to use that money to fend for your household. Is it not the essence of governance? Is it not the essence of living?
Of course.
But are we saying that happening? So it shouldn't come and be telling us that he declared emergency on food sector when he has not put the enabling environment and the equitable amount as it is supposed to be into the agricultural sector. That sector is still suffering till today currently. So a government that is actually conscious of taking the people out of the woods, because much of our problem, dwells on food.
Of course.
Because if the average Nigerian man can have good food, at least 50% of the problem is solved. So I shouldn't come here and be telling them this. They should understand that. How did China, what policy model did China implement, whereby in 2001 here, within 20 years, China was able to pull 850 million Chinese out of poverty. On an average of 42 million Chinese were pulled out of poverty every year. That is China. Are you talking about India? From 2006 to 2016, within the space of 10 years, India was able to pull 273 million Indians out of poverty on an average of 27.something million yearly. If countries could achieve that, what is Nigerian population? 220 million. In other words, if our country, our governments can pull 10 million Nigerians out of poverty every year, within 5 years, Mr. Mike, we would have vacated that evil road. So, what is our problem? These things are achievable. You don't require science to achieve them. It's all about commitment. It's all about patriotism. It's all about love for the people. It's all about they understanding the true tenets of governance, which I have come here and regularly spoken about, that our leaders do not understand what governance means. More so when it borders on the principles of democracy, which the Constitution has made it so clear. It has brought the templates of governance on how you should manage the resources of this country equitably to ensure the public good. But you don't even see them doing that. So I don't understand the pattern of governance they're bringing in play. And we are seeing the ripple effect. We are seeing where the country is heading. We are seeing everything tumbling. So it is not a case of coming to speak here. It's a case of telling us what is staring us in the face. We are truly in a bad state, which they must act very tirelessly, to halt this constant suffering hardship that Nigerians are confronting with every day.
But anyway, I feel we also have time, and the time we would have now is for us to go on a break. And when we come back, we'll continue our discussion as we look at the recent release statistics coming from the National Bureau of Statistics indicating that inflation rates increased by 28.9, or rather 0.72% to 28.9%, up from 28.02% it was in the month of November. And many are already feeling there's a need for us to curb it if we still want to remain with the government projection of putting inflation at 21.4% in the year 2024. Let's go on a break.